The shadows in the halls. Chapter 1. The unexpected roommate. As I stepped into my newly assigned dormitory for the first semester, a shiver crept down my spine. The wooden floor creaked beneath my feet with every step, echoing through the empty corridor like a whispered secret. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a new chapter in life, away from home and into independence. Yet, as I entered room 301, a sense of unease settled over me, an ominous feeling that couldn't be explained by mere nerves. The walls were painted a pale shade of gray, a color that seemed almost melancholic, like the soul of this old building was slowly fading away. The furniture, simple and plain, reflected the blandness of the university's attempt at modernity within these hallowed halls. But it was not the surroundings that unsettled me. It was the silence. An unsettling stillness hung in the air, as if time itself had paused here for decades. The roommate assigned to this room, Alex, had yet to arrive. A note on the bed caught my attention, a scribble that sent a chill down my spine. We all have our shadows within. Be patient. I brushed it off as a quirky introduction, perhaps part of some inside joke or dorm tradition. But days passed, and no sign of him. I began to settle in, unpacking books and clothes with the quiet rhythm of the rustling wind outside my window. At night, I heard nothing but the occasional distant car passing down the street or hooting of an owl from a nearby tree. No roommate noises, laughter, TV shows, or even snoring. Each evening became increasingly lonely as darkness fell and shadows lengthened across the walls. One fateful Friday, strange things started to happen. My favorite mug, usually tucked away on my desk, was now perched atop a bookshelf. I stared at it, wondering if I'd lost track of time or space. Then came the night whispers, muffled voices in a language I couldn't understand. Each morning brought new objects displaced from their place, as if they had taken flight themselves. The room became my sanctuary, yet an eerie companion, filled with unseen witnesses. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and turning to watch me when light hit them at specific angles. I started sleeping lightly, ears tuned for any sound that wasn't mine, but heard nothing. It was madness, or so I told myself. One night, while typing a paper under a dim desk lamp, shadows grew long enough to almost touch the ceiling. In their inky blackness, I caught sight of something gliding past my periphery. A figure? I rubbed my eyes. Surely exhaustion had me hallucinating. But the image persisted. A silhouette moving swiftly along the corridor, disappearing around the corner where Alex's room was located. The flickering bulb above sputtered and died as darkness swallowed it. In that moment, the lamp shot off the desk and crashed to the floor with a deafening thud. My heart pulsed in my ears. I dared not look out into the hallway, fearing what I might see. I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. One day, while studying, a rustling sound emanated from Alex's side of the room. Clothes being tossed around? The closet opened by itself, revealing an old wardrobe filled with clothes that didn't belong to me or my roommate. Faded photographs adorned its doors, faces I'd never seen. A gust of wind swept through when I reached out to touch one. In their glassy eyes, fear and despair stared back. Each day brought more oddities. Muffled voices grew louder in the night, speaking a language that left me with an unsettling sense of longing for answers. The second week approached with no sign of Alex. I decided to investigate when strange noises echoed from his room. Clattering, footsteps, laughter. The door creaked open without any force or sound as I entered. A chill swept over me as I peered inside. Nothing out of the ordinary in a cluttered space littered with books and clothes. My hand trembled, reaching for the light switch before flicking it on. No Alex, no signs of life. I left, still uneasy, wondering if he had abandoned us both for some reason unknown to me. Little did I know, my curiosity about that cryptic note would be the catalyst for events yet to come. Chapter 2. Echoes of Forgotten Whispers. Days blended into weeks without a glimpse of Alex. Every night, the shadows seemed more vivid, taking shapes and forms as if alive. I heard them whispering, voices weaving in and out of each language known to me, some incomprehensible. It was then that I started noticing changes on those faded photographs. Faces shifting, disappearing when looked directly at, but reappearing when my gaze wavered. A chill crept up my spine as I stared, transfixed by a girl with piercing green eyes and a smile etched in despair. She vanished before my very eyes. The door to the room remained shut, yet an unsettling presence made me feel like I was being watched, followed around every step. In class, sleep deprivation clawed at my focus. I became paranoid about sounds or shadows that only I seemed to see. Determined for answers, I ventured into the common room on a Saturday afternoon, hoping to find Alex's belongings and a sign of his return. Instead, amidst dust-drenched bookshelves, an old trunk caught my attention. Locked tight with rusted ironwork and strange symbols etched upon it. It bore an unsettling weight as if filled with the secrets I feared. My fingers trembled while fiddling with the lock until it finally surrendered to my sweaty grip. Inside, a journal penned by Alex spoke of room 301's dark history. Tales of ghostly apparitions, unexplained disappearances, and strange events that lingered long after students graduated or left campus. I read each page like an addict, hungry for explanations. His final entry spoke of a figure he called the Observer, watching from the shadows. The lines between reality blurred as I turned the last page. I returned to my room, the wind picking up outside. Shadows seemed to move faster now, twisting and morphing into faces I recognized. Alex's or those in the photographs. One face lingered, a man with hollow eyes, his gaze piercing through me as I froze with dread. A voice whispered in a language I didn't understand behind my left shoulder. Only I knew it spoke of desperation and sorrow. In the morning light, it was just my imagination, or so I told myself. The photographs had changed overnight. All gone. My roommate remained missing. That night, as the first light faded outside, I tried to focus on coursework, but the room seemed different under the pale moonlight streaming in. A soft breeze carried a phrase. You should have read between the lines. A faint flicker of flame appeared behind me. A matchstick's glow casting eerie shadows across Alex's empty bed as it died out suddenly. The whispering voices returned, more intense now. Foreign tongues and laughter that bordered on madness. In the darkness, I saw her, the green-eyed girl from those photographs, standing by my desk. I bolted upright as she faded into shadow once more. There was no time to think. I needed to find answers or escape the haunting images in this room. Chapter 3. The Last Whisper. In a state of heightened awareness, I rummaged through Alex's belongings, clothes torn between curiosity and fear. His journal fell out, pages fluttering wildly when I opened it at random. A sketch stared back at me, standing in that same spot where the girl had appeared. My reflection looked back with hollow eyes like those of the man from photographs. The matchstick reappeared, engulfing everything in its feeble light. A figure emerged, dressed in worn clothes. A connection formed between us as he beckoned me to follow. In his wake, strange rooms materialized, a world where figures moved silently, whispers echoing through time. He whispered, "Read it all," before vanishing. I sprinted back upstairs to the trunk and found more journals, each detailing a series of events that echoed my own existence. Unexplained moves, voices, visions. The last entry was penned in red. Alex asking me to find peace for his restless soul if he could no longer do so himself. Faced with this unknown world, I realized the observer wasn't always an observer, but sometimes something more sinister. With newfound courage, the trunk's weight lifted as I left it behind. When I opened my eyes again, I sat in a classroom filled with familiar students, and the green-eyed girl took her seat beside me. The observer watched from afar. Alex stood by my side, smiling faintly before vanishing into shadows that were once mere specters. I returned to find an open journal on the desk. My reflection now bore his eyes when I glanced in a mirror framed in rust, and those hollow orbs locked with mine. In a haze of fear and wonder, something shifted as he whispered, "It's time." The observer, no longer just a whisper in darkness, stood before me. Once a soul trapped between worlds like these two men. Together, we were forced to confront the shadows within ourselves, and they bore no peace. They spoke of a journey that began long before I arrived at this campus. Their story intertwined with mine as they sought solace. Only it wasn't peace they found, but my presence. We ventured forward together through time and darkness until there was only me, left standing in the present day, face to face with the observer. Read between lines echoed within my mind. I returned to find Alex's room empty. A note on his bed, "I'm home now." The observer vanished as suddenly as they did when I finally read what he'd intended for me all along. A tale of two souls finding solace in their own turmoil and the strength to move forward, leaving room 301 behind.